Okay, so get this, listeners. Today, we're diving headfirst into a story.
Oh, yeah.
It's got family drama, prophecies,
Yeah.
and maybe even a cloak that would make Superman jealous.
Wow.
We're talking about those big biblical patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Esau.
Right.
Their destinies are all tangled up, and it's all laid out in this Descendants YouTube series, Episode 3. It's called The Curse.
Ooh, the curse. I like it.
You think your family has issues? Just wait.
Buckle up.
What I find so fascinating about this retelling, it's
Yeah.
how it kind of blends together history and those Bible stories and even like mythology.
That's true. You know what I like about it? It makes these larger-than-life figures
Right.
feel relatable, like
Yeah.
they were real people.
Yeah, yeah.
And their choices were anything but simple.
It's not just dates and names. You're right there with them
Exactly.
as they're making these huge decisions.
Huge.
They'll have like repercussions for generations.
Regeneration. That's a lot of pressure.
Imagine knowing your choices are part of some grand, divine plan.
It all starts with Abraham, the father of monotheism, right?
Right.
Well, most people know him that way. But here, he's kind of like a young rebel, someone who went up against the biggest, baddest king, King Nimrod,
Yeah.
and smashed all his idols.
Talk about fearless. I mean, the story goes that he gets thrown into a fiery furnace
fiery furnace.
for this like defiant act, right?
Yeah.
And he comes out unharmed, like totally fine. Did he have some kind of secret fireproof suit?
Who knows? Maybe.
Or was this like divine protection?
Right. Divine protection. And it's the powerful image.
It is.
And it really shows his conviction, the strength of it.
Yeah.
And think about this. This story, this isn't just some random legend, okay?
What?
It's Isaac, Abraham's son, telling the story to Jacob.
Oh, wow.
It's like passing down a torch. Like he's saying, this is our legacy. This is the courage that flows in our veins.
Wow.
Powerful, right?
Right. Yeah. It sets the stage for Jacob's journey, and it does it in a big way.
Oh, it does.
Speaking of legacy, here's where things get really, really interesting. Enter the cloak of Adam.
Oh, the cloak. This is where it gets mystical.
Okay.
So we're talking about Adam. When he was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right?
Right.
He wore this cloak, and it was made from the skins of paradise itself.
Wait. A cloak from paradise?
I know, right?
I'm picturing something sparkly, maybe with some angel feathers.
I know. Not quite. It's described as having incredible powers. Like, it makes the wearer invincible.
What?
Yeah, and impossible to resist. It's a symbol of, lost paradise and the immense power that comes with it.
Oh, wow.
Pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
Who ends up with this legendary garment?
Okay.
None other than Esau, Jacob's twin brother.
Esau. Okay.
And he encounters Nimrod, who, surprise, surprise, is wearing the cloak.
Of course he is.
And Esau, being the impulsive one, decides, I gotta have this.
Right.
No matter the cost.
Oh.
This encounter with the cloak, it's
Right.
like a crossroads for Esau. It's the allure of worldly power, that temptation to just take control of your destiny.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it means taking a dark path.
And he does. He takes a dark path. The story says he actually kills Nimrod to get the cloak.
Yeah.
Cutthroat ambition, much.
Whoa.
But then he gives the cloak to Jacob to hide.
What?
What do you make of that?
It's a fascinating choice, right? I mean, maybe he was gripped by fear after what he did, Like he realized, whoa, what have I done, Or maybe it was calculated. Maybe he knew that the cloak would bring more trouble to Jacob than to himself.
Sneaky.
A little sneaky, right?
It definitely adds another layer to their already, complicated sibling rivalry. Speaking of which, we need to talk about these brothers.
Yeah.
They're so different.
Oh, yeah. Polar opposites.
Jacob's the studious spiritual type.
Yeah.
Esau's all action, worldly pursuits.
Total opposites. That contrast is so important for understanding their choices.
Right.
I mean, it's like the classic tale, right?
Yeah.
The thoughtful scholar versus the impulsive warrior.
Yeah.
And each one represents a different set of values.
Right.
Which leads to a pivotal moment. Esau makes a decision that he'll probably regret.
Oh, boy.
He trades his birthright to Jacob.
No.
Yeah. For a bowl of stew.
Come on. A bowl of stew. I love a good stew, don't get me wrong, but come on.
I know, right? It's his birthright.
Yeah. It's not just a family heirloom.
Exactly.
It's like the promise of inheritance, leadership, spiritual blessing. The whole package.
It really shows what Esau valued at that moment.
Yeah.
Immediate gratification over something that was significant long term.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jacob, well, he's not above a little scheming
Oh, no.
to secure what he thinks is rightfully his.
And that's where the cloak comes back into play, right?
Oh, yes. Jacob, with the help of his mother, Rebecca,
Oh, Rebecca.
uses the cloak to trick his aging blind father, Isaac, into giving him the blessing meant for Esau.
Okay, so Isaac thinks he's touching the skin of Esau,
He does.
rough and hairy.
Yeah.
But it's actually Jacob under the cloak.
Under the cloak.
And Isaac specifically mentions the cloak being made from the skins of paradise.
Yeah, he does.
Do you think he sensed some power coming from it?
It's a detail that
Yeah.
adds so much to the story.
It does.
Isaac's words directly link the cloak to, like, innocence and purity, paradise lost.
Right.
It's almost like the cloak itself is a character in the story, influencing everyone who comes into contact with it.
Right. So Jacob, disguised by the cloak, gets the blessing. Then he goes on this incredible journey to Mount Moriah, sees the stairway to heaven, gets God's blessing.
What a trip.
I know.
That's a lot.
He builds an altar, calls the place Bethel, which means house of God. It foreshadows his return, but first he's got another challenge. His uncle, Laban.
Oh, no, not Laban. This is where the theme of deception really takes root.
Yeah.
Jacob tricked his brother and his father.
Right.
And now he's about to be on the receiving end.
Oh.
Makes you wonder, are we all just destined to repeat the mistakes of our past? Or can we break free?
Ooh, cliffhanger. Listener, what do you think awaits Jacob in Haran? Stay with us. Things are about to get a whole lot more complicated. Last we left off, Jacob was heading to Haran
Right.
to find his uncle, Laban. You'd think he'd finally find a little peace and quiet after all that family drama, you know?
You'd think so, right?
But it's like they say, out of the frying pan and into the fire.
It definitely wasn't the safe haven
Right.
that he might have been looking for.
So was Laban a nice guy?
Well, Laban, he was a shrewd operator. He saw Jacob coming as an opportunity.
Oh, boy. Not just to help out his nephew.
More like to exploit the situation.
Ah, those classic family dynamics, right?
Yeah.
So how does he set his trap? What does he do?
He offers him marriage to his daughter, Rachel.
Oh,
But there's a catch.
there's always a catch. What's the catch?
Jacob has to work for him for 7 years.
7 years.
7 years before he can marry Rachel.
Talk about playing the long game. Imagine that. Jacob working away year after year,
It's a long time.
just thinking about finally being with Rachel.
All for love.
You can practically hear those wedding bells, right?
Oh, yeah.
Except on his wedding night,
Oh, no.
Laban pulls a fast one.
Uh-oh.
Now remember, brides wore veils back then,
Right.
so Jacob doesn't realize
Uh-oh. This doesn't sound good.
he's being tricked.
What happened?
Did they, switch out the wedding cake or something?
Worse. Way worse.
Oh, no.
Laban switches out Leah, his older daughter, for Rachel.
You're kidding. He wakes up the next morning and
Yeah.
realizes, what? I've been duped.
Yeah, totally tricked. It's almost like karma, right?
It's
Considering what Jacob did to his brother and father.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so what does Laban do when Jacob finds out?
Oh, he plays it cool. Like he's doing Jacob a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Says, sure, you can still marry Rachel, but it'll cost you another 7 years of labor.
Oh, come on. Seriously. Another 7 years.
That's rough. You'd think Jacob would just say, forget it, and find another bride with a less,
Yeah.
manipulative father.
Right.
But his love for Rachel must have been strong because he agrees.
Wow.
And over the next 6 years, he not only works for Laban, but he starts building up his own wealth, starts a family.
For him.
11 sons and a daughter.
Wow, that's a lot of kids.
And his flocks, they grow larger and larger. It's like he's channeling his forefathers,
Yeah.
thriving in the face of adversity.
But I'm guessing things with Laban don't just magically get better, right?
Not really. Laban gets more and more envious
Oh.
of Jacob's success.
Right.
And Jacob, understandably wants to be free
Of course.
from his manipulative uncle.
Right. Something's got to give.
It does, in a very daring move.
What does he do? Does he challenge him to a duel or something?
No, he's more strategic. He gathers his wives, his kids, the flocks, all his possessions,
Okay.
makes a run for it,
Oh, he escapes.
escapes in the middle of the night.
Sneaky.
Yeah, outsmarts Laban completely.
What a game of cat and mouse. Did he take everything, or did Laban, catch him?
Oh, Jacob made sure to grab something very important.
What's that?
Laban's household gods. the teraphim.
Teraphim. What are those?
They were like figurines,
Okay.
sacred figurines,
Okay.
represented family protectors, deities.
Okay.
Stealing them was a big move, not just theft,
Right.
but symbolically cutting ties with Laban and his authority.
Wow.
Jacob was reclaiming his spiritual identity.
Okay. I'm picturing Laban waking up, you know, his prized possessions gone, his daughter's gone, his free labor gone.
Oh yeah, he was furious.
Furious. Yeah, I bet. What did he do?
He sets off after Jacob, determined to get everything back.
This sounds tense. Do they settle things over a nice cup of tea and biscuits?
Not quite. It was a heated showdown,
Oh, boy.
accusations and recriminations,
Yeah.
but they do eventually reach a truce,
Okay.
make a pact marked by a pile of stones,
Okay.
and they agree, we'll respect each other's boundaries, no more hostility,
Okay. So a fragile peace.
fragile peace.
But peace nonetheless. Jacob's finally free.
Free at last,
You'd think he could just head home.
you'd think.
But remember, there's that little detail about Esau.
Oh, yeah, Esau, who traded his birthright?
For a bowl of stew.
That's right, for a bowl of stew. And, well, word gets back to Esau that Jacob's coming back and that he's wealthy. Doesn't exactly fill Esau with,
Yeah.
brotherly love.
Right.
In fact, he decides to march towards Jacob
Oh.
with 400 men.
400 men.
That's a lot of men.
Talk about a hostile welcoming committee.
Yikes.
It sounds like Jacob's just traded one problem for a bigger one. What's he going to do?
Well, Jacob's a resourceful guy.
He is.
Strategic, cunning even. He's not going to face this without a plan.
Okay, so picture this. Jacob's about to face off with Esau and his 400 men.
I know, right?
I'm thinking epic movie scene, dust clouds, tense music, slow motion stares.
Totally.
But what happens is,
Yeah.
I did not see this coming.
You and me both.
It's one of the most surprising parts of the whole story. Instead of a huge fight, they have this incredibly moving reunion. Tears, embraces, forgiveness, the whole
It's
thing.
powerful stuff. It really shows the raw emotion.
I bet those lavish gifts that Jacob sent ahead really helped,
They probably did.
And maybe seeing Jacob limping towards him after wrestling all night softened Esau's heart a little bit.
It's probably a combination of things,
Right.
But we see a different Esau here, a man who's maybe let go of some of that resentment,
Right.
It speaks to the power of time, maybe even divine intervention to heal old wounds.
It makes you think about grudges, in our own lives. Is it worth holding on to that anger? Or is there more freedom in letting go?
Big question.
But even though they make up, Jacob and Esau don't exactly skip off into the sunset together, do they?
No, they go their separate ways.
Right.
Esau heads back to Seir, and Jacob goes on to Shechem. They're acknowledging, I think, that their lives have gone in different directions. Their paths are different.
Right.
They can forgive each other, but the past can't be undone.
It's a bittersweet ending to their story. But Jacob's journey's not over yet. He seems to be searching for some spiritual clarity, because what he does next is pretty big. He tells his whole household, no more idols. They even bury all their gods in the ground.
Wow. That's a powerful symbol of his devotion to the one God.
It is.
It's rejecting those pagan beliefs that were all around him.
He's making a statement like, this is who we are now.
It's a big change.
But there's always a twist in this story, right? Rachel, Jacob's wife, she keeps some of Laban's idols, the teraphim. She can't quite let go of her past, Or maybe it's just the comfort of those familiar objects.
I think that's a really important detail.
It is.
Adds a layer of tragedy to what happens next.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Laban's warning?
Ooh.
Whoever stole his gods wouldn't live. Well, Rachel dies giving birth. Jacob's heartbroken.
That part always gets to me. It's like a reminder that our actions have consequences, even if they're unintended. But the story keeps going. Jacob and his family eventually settle in Shechem, and then his daughter, Dinah, is taken by the prince of the city.
Oh no, that triggers something fierce in Jacob's sons.
Yeah, Simeon and Levi, they decide to get revenge.
Things get pretty intense. Let's just say peace talks were off the table. They unleashed a brutal revenge. Killed many men in the city.
Whoa, that's a violent act. Even this already intense story, it makes you think about justice and vengeance and how family loyalty can go too far. It's a tough one.
It really is. Even though Jacob is trying to be a better man, there's that shadow of violence from the past hanging over him. It makes you wonder, are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of our ancestors?
That's the question this episode really makes you think about. It's a story about faith, ambition, betrayal, love, and loss.
Absolutely.
It's about searching for redemption.
Yeah.
Listener, what do you think? Do you see yourself in any of these characters?
I know I do.
What lessons can we learn from their struggles?
Yeah.
I think that's the real power of a story like this.
I agree. It's not just about the story itself.
Right.
It's about the questions it makes us ask, the conversations it sparks.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep into the stories that shape us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.